Assalamualaikum and hi, hello, my name is Nuri Rafika Shera binti Muhammad Syahrul Izam and I'm from section 2. Let's get started.
Of the properties before moving into the desirable factors. So these three types of properties have different meanings. So I will explain to you one by one. Residential is designated for single family homes, apartments, townhouses, condominiums, and etc. While commercial properties is a classification of zoning for property used for stores, shopping centers, service businesses. While an industrial property is an intangible property, rights as ownership of trademark or patent connected to commercial, agriculture, and industry. So these are the definitions of the properties. Now let's move to the desirable factors of each properties. Okay, so in my report for the assignment, I've been listing 5 different factors that affects the value of a property for residential property. So each of them is location, home size and usable space, renovation potential, privacy and safety. So these 5, I choose these 5 factors because this is most of the owners or tenants want to look into when buying a property. Okay, so I can say that most of the buyers and tenants will find a house that according to their categories such as families or an employee. So location is one of the factors that has been listed as the most important thing to buy a house, because for a family they will find a house according to the children. They need to send their children to school, so they will find a house that is near to a school, either it's primary school or secondary schools. Well, for a single employee, they will find a house that is near to their offices or stores, which can make them easier to go to their office without having to face traffic stuck or any road problems. So it is easier for them to go anywhere they wanted, either offices, towns, schools, and even entertainment centers. And the location of the house, they will choose a location that is not near to the highways and factories. Why? Because highways, as you all know, highways have lots of vehicles and cars and motorcycles and even lorries sometimes to carry on their things. So this will be a disturbance for them, like the sound of the vehicles around and factories. Why do we want a house that is near to the factory? Because a factory will produce bad smells and even sound disturbance. So this is not peaceful and calm. This will give bad impacts for the citizens around them. So it's next, home size and usable space. The more the usable space, the more valuable the house is. Why? Because as I can say, a usable space is declared as bedrooms and bathrooms. So the more bedroom and bathrooms, the more valuable the property is, because we live in a house. What is a house without bathroom and bedrooms, right? Because it is for us to live in. And I can say that a garage is not counted as usable space because we're not watching TV in garage, because we put the cars or vehicles in the garage. So the more usable space, the more valuable a house is. Next is renovation potential. Some of the buyers or an owner of a property dream house, but they want to minimize the cost or price that they'll be using, so they will buy a ready-made house and do some renovations according to their uh, actual plan or their dream house, an additional space or an upgradation of the house. So it will be easier for them because they have the ready-made house. So they just have to add on some spaces and upgradations, because we all know that a custom-made house is the price is unbelievable, because we have to buy a lot or a land or an area for our house. So it will be a little bit what can we say, complicated to be compared to the ready-made house and some renovations. So the last one is safety and privacy. Most of the buyers or tenants, they will be working, and not all of them are housewives, because most of them have jobs and their children will go to school. There will be nobody to look over their house, so they will choose a residential property that have security guard to help them protect the houses when they're not home, uh, to protect it from outsiders, because some of the security guards will look around at night to make sure the residents are living peacefully without any disturbance. Now moving on to the commercial or retail property. So most of the business women or businessmen will choose a place that is suitable for their businesses or services, according to the location, the supply and demand of the area, accessibility to go to their stores or offices, population and physical condition of the buildings. So I'm going to explain one by one in the next slide. Okay, so move on to the commercial or retail property. So a successful commercial property is depend on the location of their building, such as shopping complex and retail buildings. For example, if a shopping complex or retail building is located beside the road or near the traffic light, it will be a free advertisers for them to show to the public and attract them to come and do buying and selling processes or services. Why? Because when the public um, stays on the traffic light, they will look to their surrounding to look what do this area have. So it will be easier for them to assess the property and retail buildings. So the easier the accessibility, the higher the attraction to the public. Next is supply and demand, which I can say if the demand is higher than the supply, the value of the property increases. Why? Because the production that they supply is not enough. The people or the citizens will request more and more and more for them to supply more. So the higher the demand that been asked by the public, it will increase the value of property because they need to produce more supply for the public. Okay, now let's continue to the population and demographic is one of the factor of a successful commercial property, because it was one of the most desirable factors for the owners or buyers need to find when buying a property, because it depends on the area or population, because a high growing number of technology jobs will observe a high demand of luxury shops and restaurants. For example, in Kuala Lumpur, we can say that most of the Kuala Lumpur citizens is intends to go to luxury shops such as Pavilions, Mid Valley, which contains lots of luxury restaurants and shops for them to entertain themselves. But for an aging population, they will see an assisted living facilities as they retire, so they will not attracted to luxury shops or restaurants. So they will be looking into an assisted living facility to make their life easier. Next, or I can say last, factors for the commercial oriented properties, physical condition. A new building will attract more people because it is easier to upgrade and renovate. A new building is a new ready-made building compared to the old building that will attract less, because there will be lots of repairs, and the repairs will be in high cost. Because to compare, we can give an example such as the cables in the old building and the new building. An old building will have a very sensitive cables or wires, while in new building they will have and brand new cables and good quality. So this will impact the commercial properties value, and this is why this can be called the factors desired by the owners. So for the last property, it is industrial property. It also depends on location, transportation, technology level, infrastructure, and government intervention. So the explanation will be in the next slide. So for a firm that wanted to find a suitable industrial property, they need to look into the location. They will look into a location that is near to the sources and to the market, because when the delivery of the raw material to the factory needs transportation, and the delivery from factory that produce supplies to the market will need transportation. So they wanted to minimize the time to get the raw material and deliver the supplies of productions, because it is easier for them to process. It involves large amount of weight and volume. The closer the in property to the market, the minimum transportation and cost will be used. Next is technology level. Technology level, such as machines, are not only optimizes production method, but it also improves work efficiency, optimize production processes, and promotes energy efficiency. Because when we're doing industrial property, or when the firm having the factory, they wanted that business to be profitable. So to have the profit, they must have a good technology to make sure their production is good quality. Next is infrastructure. It is one of an input into the production function, because low level of infrastructure will lead to less economic relocation between countries than the high level countries. So for example of infrastructure is a water supply, because water is one of the main ingredient or main method used to do some disposal effluent. Okay, so next example is government intervention. Government intervention can be said that the ideas and actions from the government is also the value of industrial property, because for example in China, their government offering a big scale of a suburb land for to attract the firms, so they can get taxes in the future. So asking less now and giving more in the future. That's all about the desirable factors that I can give.
So that's all from me. Assalamualaikum and bye.